Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to Malmö once again here in Skåne in southern Sweden. We're going to go to Limhamn, which is in the southern part of the city, and it's really close to the Limhamns Bryggeri actually, but we've got another new brewery to have a look at today. So we're going to do my first review from Limhamns Bryggeri, and this one is their brown ale, which comes in at 5.6%. If I'm remembering correctly, this was one of the beers that I got from the 1st of May local release in Systembolaget, so it should be a really quite interesting one. If you've watched the channel before, you will know that the brown ale is a style that I really do quite enjoy. Brooklyn Brown was probably the first one that I had in this style, and I always make an effort to try brown ales whenever I see some that are quite interesting. So hopefully this is a good beer. I think I actually have tried maybe their Imperial Stout before. I'm sure I tried that in Malmö Tap Room, or maybe Beer Ditch at one point as well. So it's always cool to try new breweries from your local area. There is another brewery in Limhamn, of course, called Limhamns Bryggeri, and they do some interesting things too, but these guys are just a little bit newer than them if I remember correctly. But it should be a really nice beer, this one, so I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. So yeah, so anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Limhamns Bryggeri. Like I said, very first time I'm trying one of their beers. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, of course, and please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Limhamns Bryggeri then. So Limhamns Bryggeri was founded by Peter Mack, Dan Hulmer and Jens Bergström. So Peter went on a home brewing course in 2012, and initially he wanted to just to learn how to home brew, but then he and his friends very quickly got the idea that they could do this on the larger scale. So they started brewing early in 2014. Their brewery is actually in this kind of corrugated iron shed sort of thing behind the Lidl in Limhamn, so you can find them there. But the initial aim was actually to get an American pale ale beer ready for the Limhamn Harbour Festival that year, and ever since they did that, they've been steadily increasing their output, producing new beers. As of 2015, they were producing 20,000 litres of beer per year, but they do have an expansion plan in place to produce 200,000 litres of beer per year by 2020. And from what I read, the article I read was from the end of 2015, so it might be slightly inaccurate, but at that time none of the guys were actually working full time at the brewery. Peter was working partly in advertising, Dan of course studies brew technology, and I think Jens actually works for another bigger brewery doing quality control and things like that. So at the moment, as far as I know, they are still a kind of part-time brewery. Their beers have just arrived in Systembolaget, so there may well be one of them actually working full-time at the brewery just now. And I think Dan Hulmer is the one who is involved in the brewing mostly at the moment, because it's his name that's on the side of the beer here. But yeah, really quite nicely presented one. It's quite it looks like a kind of nice beer that you'd have in a restaurant. It's kind of presented like that, I would say. But all of them have a fairly similar style of artwork, and it's just a little bit different depending on what style of beer you have. As I say, if you want to know more about the brewery, you can check out their website, but really that only tells you about the beers. So they've got an IPA, I think they have a pale ale as well. They've got two different lagers with different alcohol contents. There's a Russian Imperial Stout, if I'm remembering correctly. They have a Weiss beer, and I think that's it actually. They've got this guy, which just came out in May 2017 as well. But it says here, brewed with heart and passion, of course. It tells you inside here, a brown ale is a flavourful dark beer with hints of something fruit, torque the fruit, I guess crushed fruit or something like that, apple cinnamon, which is orange, and honey. So yeah, should be quite a nice beer, this one. There you can see Dan Hulmer's signature on the side there, so if you want to pause the video you can just have a little look at that. But yeah, this one's a 5.6% beer. The other thing I should point out about this brewery as well is that there was previously another brewery in Limhamn, so that's why they have on the bottom here founded in 1901 and 2014, because there was another brewery founded in 1901. So yeah, should be a really interesting one this. So without further ado, let's get it open and we'll get on with the tasting. Plain bottle cap on this one, by the way. And yeah, so there you can see a nice smoky opening when we open this up, and we'll get it into the glass. And I tell you something, you can smell some of the fruity characters off that. It actually does smell like orange. After reading that on the side of the bottle, you can get a little bit of orangey character out of this one. but there's a little bit of a red fruity note as well, but we'll take a closer look at that in a minute. But yeah, really nice looking beer, this one. If I hold this up to the light, it's actually kind of a chestnutty colour. I think that's a fair way to describe this one. There's a good bit of a red edge to this one, a dark sort of chestnutty colour is a good way to describe this. It is a bit lighter in colour than some brown ales I've come across, but a really quite nice looking beer, this one. There's a good bit of red character to it. I'm not sure how well you can see the colour on the camera there, but I think chestnut is a good way to kind of describe the colour of this beer. But yeah, it looks really nice. You can see there's a very thin foamy layer on this one. It's a sort of beige kind of creamy colour, the head on that, just a quarter finger, not a lot. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it looks really nice, and it's the sort of colour that you would expect of a brown ale, and you can smell a little bit of the kind of roasted and caramelly malts coming out of this just as you move it about. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh yeah, no, right away you can smell the kind of honey in that. I always find that honey has this sort of almost biscuity character to it. It's this kind of biscuity, sort of light caramel sort of thing. There's definitely honey in that, so they're not telling you lies on the bottle. You can definitely pick up the honey there. There's a little bit of a roasted malt character to this one too. There's some darker kind of treacle and molasses coming out of this one, I think. But yeah, there's a good bit of brown bready character, I think, in there as well. It's brown bread. There's maybe a wee bit of a woody kind of nutty thing going on as well. Yeah, woody nutty character, brown bread, a little bit of earthy hop. There's maybe a wee bit of kind of grassy character in there as well. Maybe a little bit of chocolate. But yeah, it kind of has everything that you would expect of the brown ale. I'm not getting the oranges that I was picking up when I opened the beer up right enough. There's a little bit more. It's more like a kind of candied red fruit ester that's coming out of this one. Yeah, it's a little bit of a kind of figgy sort of red. Yes, it's a little candied red fruit, maybe just a little bit figgy actually coming out of this one. But it's an interesting aroma. It smells kind of exactly what you'd expect of a brown ale. To me, the aroma kind of seems a little bit more like an English brown ale just because of the earthy character and the sort of woodiness that it has, rather than an American brown ale. The American ones, of course, have a lot of kind of tropical fruits and things in them. If you think the Karma Citra from Beer Hero over in Denmark, that's an example of a big kind of beastly American brown ale. That's a really nice beer, that one. But yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in. But let's try this beer now. So this one is the brown ale from Limhamns Bryggeri in Limhamn, just to the south of Malmö, near the Öresund Bridge. Skål! That's quite nice. I mean, the first thing you're going to notice about this beer, it's not a big kind of beastly American brown ale that's going to blow your mouth off with in terms of hops and things like that. This one, to me, definitely leans more in towards the kind of English variant of the style of the English were the ones that invented the brown ale style, really. Then the Americans adapted it a little bit. But this one's more in line with a kind of a brown ale that you'd expect in one of these real ale pubs over in England. But yeah, that's nice. I mean, there's a good bit of stuff going on in this one. So there's a lot of interesting things coming out in the aftertaste. In the aftertaste, I'm getting some of that brown bready character sitting there. There's a little bit of a roasted malty character in there too. A lot of the sweetness for me is coming out initially. There's a good bit of chocolate just mixing in there. The focus of this one, of course, is in the middle of your palate where all these malty flavours are going to come out. And the hops are fairly simple. I mean, at the back corner of the palate, you've got a little bit of that earthy character. As you come further forward, it smooths out a little bit. There's a bit of bitterness at the back corners, but as you come further forward, the hoppiness kind of smooths out. It's a little bit grassy around the front curve of your tongue, and then just behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that little oily bubble that I always talk about, where you get some of these kind of juicy fruit characters. Yeah, for me this one, I'm not getting the oranges that they say in this. I don't think that's oranges that are coming out of this one. it's not quite, it's just not sweet enough, I think, to be orange juice. It's not a citricy fruit, really. For me, the fruity character in this one, it's a little bit more like a red, candied fruit, I would say. I can definitely get a little bit of the honey. As you progress into the aftertaste, the honey that they're mentioning, there is a little bit of that there. But the malt base, that's kind of almost stamped out a little bit by the other elements in the malt base. So, as I always say, the malt back parts of the beer come out right in the middle of your tongue, so you can feel a little bit of that roasted malt character there, just underpinning the beer. On top of that, there's a nice sort of brown bready character in there. There's a little bit of sweetness from that. You can feel some of these slightly biscuity, grainy characters in there as well, and then there's a bit of chocolate as well, but the chocolate isn't too strong. The chocolate is very, very weak and kind of, it's sort of pushed down a little bit by the kind of bready and sort of grainy aspects to this beer as well. There's a few kind of undertones coming out of this. It's almost got a little bit of a woody character to it, this one. Not nutty, more woody than anything else. But yeah, I mean, in terms of an English style brown ale, I think they've done a decent job with this one. They've done it quite well. I mean, if you like English style brown ales, this is one that you are going to enjoy. By no means is it going to blow your head in terms of malt sweetness or hop bitterness or anything like that. It's more just about how the flavours blend together. This one, you know, I'm trying to think what you could pair it with food-wise. Actually, it's a little bit difficult, but if you're a fan of brown ales like I am, this one is a nice kind of drinkable example. I'm not a great fan, as I've said, of some of the traditional styles of English beer, but the brown ales are one that I can like. The darker English beers are ones that I can enjoy, and to me, if I blind tasted that, I would reckon that it's a brown ale from an English brewery, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's definitely nice enough. The most prominent parts of the flavour in this for me are the slightly earthy hops, so I do wonder if they've used English hops in this one, to be honest. And then there's a little bit of that roasted malt and the sort of brown bready character in there, and some of that chocolatey note on top. Those are probably the most prominent components of the flavour of this one. But in terms of an English brown ale, they have done quite a nice job with that. It fits into that kind of style category pretty perfectly. So yeah, they've done a nice job with this. I would drink this again. I actually think this beer, my one kind of nitpick with this beer would be that in the body. So if we talk about the mouthfeel now, this one for me is just a little bit light for a brown ale. I mean, I would want it just to be a little bit thicker. It might just be the bottle conditioning. If you condition that beer for cask conditioning, as we have back in Scotland and England, like these English pool cask thing, if you got just a little bit of a thicker mouthfeel out of this, that would suit it really, really well. But as it is, it's quite light-bodied for a brown ale. The carbonation though has a little bit of a prickle. It's got a little bit of oily character to it, but it leans more towards the wet side of things. There's a little bit of sweetness from the malts, but there is a bit of bitterness from the kind of cereally character in this one, and a little bit of the roasted malt too. The hops are very smooth. There is a little bit of bitterness in the back corner of the palate, and there's a wee bit of juicy fruit in there as well. But overall, in terms of an English brown ale, I think they've done a good job with this one. It's definitely not an American brown ale. It's not hoppy and kind of fruity enough to do that. It definitely leans more towards the malty side of things. So if you like a brown ale that's got a little bit of that kind of toasted, roasty character to the malt base, a little bit of sweetness as well from chocolate and things like that, and just a little bit of earthy hop, these are the kind of notes that you're going to find from this beer. So if you enjoy the English kind of real ale brown ales, I think this one will suit you down to a T. But yeah, they've done a nice job with this, and on the basis of this one, I would want to try their IPA and stuff like that and see how I get on with that. So hopefully I can do that in the fairly near future. As I say, I'm sure it was the Imperial Stout that I tried from these guys before, but they've done a nice job with this, and I'd certainly want to try some of their other beers. So yeah, it's been really cool to have a look at another brewery from my local area. As I say, Limhamn in Malmö, also home to Limhamns Bryggeri, if I'm remembering correctly. So there are quite a few things going on in the different parts of the city in Malmö these days, so make sure you check out some of these local beers. And if you enjoy a nice English brown ale, make sure you check out Limhamns brown ale. This one came out on the 1st of May 2017 through Systembolaget, of course. So yeah, thank you once again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media. Do let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from this brewery, and hopefully I can return to Limhamns Bryggeri in the fairly near future. But it's always cool to see new breweries popping up here in Skåne. So until the next time, slanted just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out Limhamns Bryggeri from Malmö here in Skåne in southern Sweden. Cheers.